Hi, this is Susan Michel. I am here in Western Massachusetts with my great friend and Course in Miracles soul sister in Florida. And it's great to be back. I missed last week, so it's great to be back. How are you doing today, Myrna?
Great, great. I always answer with that because I feel that way. When I'm set to be available with you or Course in Miracles brothers and sisters, I just had the pleasure of spending the last half hour.
Yeah, there's a little bit of pause in your video recorder. I'm not sure where that's coming from, but I am the author of Surrender to Joy from Suicide to Serenity, based on the principles of A Course in Miracles. Myrna is the author of Private Lessons with Jesus. And this is from A Course in Miracles as well. We are all here to study, to learn, to embody the truth of this miraculous book. And I see I've lost Myrna. I'm hoping she'll be able to come back on. Anyone who would like to share, I would love to hear your thoughts. And again, hopefully Myrna will be back in very soon. So I think what I will do is I will start with the introduction of my book. My book says in its introduction, my passion is God. God is love and joy and beauty. He is all that is good in the world. Everything else is our own miscreation. When we are filled with joy, we are connected to God. When we are not joyful, we have lost our connection with all that is real. This is my message. It can be clarified with three simple words: surrender to joy. There is nothing to find. All we need to do is surrender. And the reason there is nothing to find in the world is because, as Course in Miracles tells us time and time again, there is no world. The external world is nothing more than a reflection of an internal condition. All thought creates form on some level. We are always creating our own reality by the thoughts that we are focusing on internally. So, today's lesson is lesson 162. And that lesson states, I am as God created me. And then the first line, which is so very powerful, states, this single thought held firmly in the mind would save the world. And I listened to this lesson first thing this morning by a few Course in Miracles teachers: Carol Howe, Tina Louise Spalding, and there's another couple of teachers that I really enjoy listening to in the morning. They all have their own take on the lesson. And then what I did is I meditated for 25 minutes as I really embodied this meaning as much as possible into my psyche. Because what A Course in Miracles does, I mean, it gives us intellectual teaching, and that's great. For me, that's a start. But when I really digest and embody the thoughts behind the words, that's when I'm able to really transform my thinking. That's when I'm really able to go from a fear-based thought system to the essence of love. That's when I'm able to, I guess, just connect with this miraculous mindset that's always available. So, it was a really great meditation. First thing this morning, the first paragraph actually says, okay, subject, I am as God created me. So for me, it's all about releasing guilt. For me, it's all about connecting to my innocence. For me, it's all about erasing any mistakes that I think I might have made. For me, it's all about forgiving everyone totally and completely and unconditionally, So to just realize that we are as God created us. I mean, it's so empowering. It's so empowering to step into that energy field because, again, it's based solely on innocence. There is no guilt. And it's important to acknowledge that and just breathe in that truth. I am as God created me. This single thought held firmly in the mind would save the world. Because you think about it, if everyone held that thought firmly in their mind, there would be no discourse, there would be no arguments, there would be no fighting, there would be nobody defending their position. We would just all realize we are a part of the same energy field. And we would realize that God has but one son, and we are all part of the same sonship. So when I'm attacking my brother, I'm attacking myself. When I'm defending myself against my brother, I'm defending myself against myself. There is no other person. Again, we're all part of the same sonship. So it's just such a powerful, powerful lesson. And then the second sentence here says, from time to time, we will repeat it as we reach another stage in learning. It will mean far more to you as you advance. So as I step closer and closer to my innocence, as I step closer and closer to heaven, I will be able to really absorb and embody the meaning of this sentence. These words are sacred, for they are the words God gave in answer to the world you made. So the world we made is based on fear. The world we made is based on the egoic thought system. The world we made is based on division. So, and then Jesus writes here, by them it disappears, and all things seen within its misty clouds and vaporous illusions vanish as these words are spoken, for they come from God. Yeah, so that is an extremely powerful lesson, an extremely empowering paragraph. I was listening to a little of what Regis was saying in the past hour, and I thought that was very powerful as well. He was saying that people say that he has to uh, own his African American heritage, and he doesn't see himself as an African American man. He sees himself as a child of God. So he doesn't want to go into victim consciousness for any reason. And I think that is so powerful. And Karen has her hand raised. Thank you, Karen. Thank you for raising your hand. Um, did you want to share?
Thank you. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. We missed you last week.
Oh, thank you. I was in the Big Apple.
Oh,
I went to
nice.
New York City for the weekend, so that was a lot of
Ah,
fun.
that is a fun place. Oh my,
Yeah,
good. Good. It's good to get away.
it
Yeah,
is.
I'm glad you focused on the lesson today. I love what you read the first couple of sentences and this the second sentence. From time to time, we will repeat it as we reach another stage in learning. So for me, that learning is what the course is teaching me about learning is learning. I'm learning to change my mind. I'm learning to see another way because this single thought held firmly in the mind would save the world. So, like you said, this is a powerful lesson. And I don't always feel that way. So when I'm not feeling that way, I can change my mind. And I'm learning to do that by what we were talking about earlier is listening to the Holy Spirit, listening to the Holy Spirit, listening to my higher self. When a judgment comes in or an attack thought comes in, I can always give it over. And that just helps me immediately, automatically to remember that I am as God created me. And this is lesson 94. It's lesson 110. And it's this lesson. There's three lessons that are titled I am as, which I think is amazing. And then lesson 139 is I will accept the atonement for myself, which to me is the same thing. And then lessons 201 and 220 are the review of this. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. So that's how powerful this lesson is because it's repeated so many times in the course. So I just love that you brought it up and I love to be reminded. And yeah, I just love to continue to learn about who I am as God created me. So thanks. That's all.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you. I yeah, I will accept the atonement for myself. You just read that. And then I opened another one of my beautiful Course in Miracles books here. Yay, Myrna's back. I'm so happy. I am so happy you're back, Myrna.
I didn't want to interrupt you. My internet went down for a change. I thought that was fixed, but anyway, I'm glad that it went back up again. I think it went down again. I think I lost you. Did I? Oh no, there you are.
Oh, no, I'm here now, but I did lose you for I guess about 10 minutes, but
Oh,
I'm
I
so
lost
happy you're
you.
back. I'm so happy you're back. So Karen just recited some beautiful material from her mind, from A Course in Miracles, and how important it is to accept the atonement for ourself. And I immediately went into my glossary of terms, which I love reading from, which explains the different phrases from A Course in Miracles by Robert Perry. And he described accepting the atonement for oneself. That's actually the first description in the whole book, because everything here begins with an A. But just to read what that is, and then maybe we can discuss it because it is such an empowering concept. It's what the Course in Miracles is based on. Accepting the healing of your own thinking, accepting right mindedness into your mind, even if only briefly, which is interesting because I say I tend to vacillate, which leads directly and automatically to extending healing to others. Accepting healing is the precondition for extending healing. For you must have before you can give. This acceptance is the sole responsibility of the miracle worker because once atonement is allowed into your mind, it will automatically extend through you and give miracles to others unless you block it. That's what I always say. We're entitled to miracles. The only way we don't extend miracles is when we block those miracles. Thus, rather than implying that others are of no concern to you, this idea tells you how you can be truly helpful to them. You can accept atonement by changing your perception of self or others, as well as by joining with your holy relationship partner. So I think I live for this feeling because it's such a beautiful feeling where we are extending God's love through us. We are the conduit for God's miracles. We are the conduit to extend God's divine love to our brothers. Isn't that a beautiful state of being to step into, Myrna?
Here is, can't beat it, right? Because I just tuned in and we had spoken previously and we said that today's lesson, I am as God created me, was very powerful. So I don't know whether or not, that was brought into the talk, but it is a very interesting, very powerful lesson. I was listening before I got cut off earlier, a little bit earlier, and Regis was speaking quite a bit, and I just love his tone and the way the way he just presents the Course in Miracles, because he lives it. Obviously, it comes through. The love comes through from him, and I just love that with Regis. And he said something that I wrote down, and he has a prayer. He has an affirmation that says, "God, help me to see me as you see me." So I thought that was really so powerful. God, help me to see me as you see me, meaning that there's only one love but God's. And if we can see ourselves and others the way God sees us, then what greater love could there be? What greater attachment could we find? It's, and thinking about that, it is all powerful. So I am as God created me, just as I am. I am the love that I was created from is all powerful. It's God. And so how could we not be a part of that creation? And we're constantly reminded throughout the Course in Miracles that we are as God created us, that we are as one with God. And, unfortunately, we lose sight of that. We let various different things that come up during the course of the day that's ego-based, take precedence over the truth. And, if we get into the habit of knowing that whatever we're feeling that is not the love of God, then it is really something that we don't pay attention to. Get your mind away from it, because if it's not of God, it means nothing. And that is all powerful. Once we become aware of that, live it, become accustomed to blocking out those insane thoughts that pop up. I mean, they're there. But I learned a long time ago not to fight with those thoughts. And better still, not fighting with them. I've learned, I've come even further by not believing them. So that shows me that I've become related to the teachings of A Course in Miracles, whereby God presents the love that comes alive for us. So
I'm listening to a new Audible book. I just found this yesterday. It's called Happy Days by Gabrielle Bernstein. And she's a big Course in Miracles student. She's young and beautiful and clear and articulate. I like her very much. Have you ever heard of her, Myrna? Gabrielle Bernstein?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, she's pretty big. It's the name of her book. I'm listening to it on Audible, Happy Days. And then the subtitle is The Guided Path from Trauma to Profound Freedom and Inner Peace. And I hear a quote, A Course in Miracles. I mean, I've listened to her off and on for years. She's written quite a few books. I think she's a very clear teacher. What this particular book is about is like acknowledging, identifying, acknowledging, and stepping into the pain points so you can release them. That's basically what a big part of the first few chapters is about. And again, she quotes Michael Singer, or she talks about Michael Singer, who wrote this book right here, The Untethered Soul. And yeah, and what he writes about is he writes about the importance of stepping into those pain points, not because you want to stay there, not because you want to reside there, but just so you can clear out your channels. And she talks about triggers. She talks about, sometimes when the external world triggers us, it's just because there's something within us that has not yet been fully healed. So even though it's negative, even though it's an illusion, part of, I guess, clearing out our channel and becoming a miracle worker is allowing that pain that's hidden within our unconscious mind to release itself. And I guess part of the reason too I'm so drawn to that book is because this has been my course of study for years and years and years. Because throughout the day, I do continue to vacillate. I know only the love is real, but sometimes I do get triggered by the world. And when that happens, I mean, how would you deal with a trigger, Myrna? What do you think a dedicated Course in Miracles student, what would you advise a dedicated Course in Miracles student to do when that pain point gets triggered?
That's a very interesting question. The ego tells us that every problem is different. Okay, so we react differently to what we think is different. I think if we realize that it's all the same, and that no matter what the difficulty seems to be, that they're all the same, and God, there are no order of difficulties in miracles. So if there is no order of difficulty in miracles, that means that anything, God can heal anything at all. So I come back to that, no matter what I think the crisis may be, I bring that into my belief system, that my understanding is that it doesn't matter. The world is not going to blow up, okay? And as Regis said previously before, that we're safe. We're safe in the world. The world is a safe place. And if you feel safe in the world, then it's a safe place. I know the world is not going to, shatter and become, the world, I just know that that's not going to happen. We seem to be threatened by this every day. They talk about World War III. They talk about politics. They talk about, keeping, I think the news is really sort of paid to teach us and keep us in fear, because all we hear is fearful news. And I think, I came away saying, you know what, the world is not going to disappear. The world is going to be here. We're not going to blow up, from some unforeseen thing that's going to, cause us to, evaporate. It's not going to happen. And as long as we feel safe, we are, and we are safe. And so that's really how I deal with it. It's always God, isn't it? It's always coming back to God. We can't do it. The world can't do it. The news forecast can't do it. Only God can do it. And God can do anything. I mean, I've had things happen, miracles in my life that I could never explain, okay, but they happened. And that I think is shown to me because it keeps up my faith. My faith has to be kept up. And it really is. It's become a very big part of who I am. So that's the best answer I could really give.
Yeah, no, that's a very good answer. That's a very good answer. Um, I mean, I'm very aware that the only thing that's real is the love. I'm very aware that when I'm connected to my joy, I'm able to be a conduit for God's divine miracles. I'm very aware that this earth is a classroom. This earth is a classroom and it's not our real home. I mean, our real home right here, right now is in heaven. And this is just playing itself out because there are lessons that my soul needs to learn down here on this earthly plane. Um, I do get triggered. I mean, I believe on one hand that love is the only thing that is real. I also believe on the other hand that we do need to keep it real and feel the feelings that surface in order to clear our channel and to connect fully to God. Um, you
Can I
know,
interject for a minute? You asked
yeah,
me,
please
you
do.
said, how do I deal with triggers? How do I personally deal with triggers? I get triggered like everybody else. It's not that I don't get triggered. It's just how we deal with our triggers that really matter, how we deal with them, how we learn to not let it permeate, the day that we're, the course of the day. We learn to just, yeah, it's not even a matter of shooting an arrow back at the person that I think may have shot one at me. It's not even about that anymore. It's about just kind of, you know, understanding that we're only human, we're going to feel them. But if I think of it, we don't, allow ourselves to be hurt by them, they don't hurt us too badly and they disappear quickly. At least it is that way for me. So I want to just turn it back to you. I wanted to just clarify that too.
Well, maybe part of healing is how quickly we can release those triggers, even when they do hit us.
Right.
Maybe part of healing is being able to release them more quickly. Um, yeah, I mean, at my place of work, I feel like there's a lot of criticism going on towards me. I'm being criticized. I was very high and happy when I returned from my New York City vacation. And then I went into my place of employment and I found myself being criticized yet again. And it's that's a trigger point from my childhood that maybe is still in the process of releasing itself. I know that I think I have The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer quoted in my book because I think he is a very clear teacher about how important it is just to accept whatever it is we're going through, because when we can fully accept it, it's going to release itself. And again, this is what I heard Gabby Bernstein talk about in her books Happy Days, and I do think this is kind of how my life has unfolded in this lifetime. When I can release a core pain point, there's a lot of freedom on the other side of it. So what Michael Singer writes here, there's like a quite a few paragraphs in this one section of the book, and they all seem to be very profound. They all kind of say the same thing. And he talks about how our true power is in our joy. We were born to be joyful. Of course, in Miracles is all about that. When I'm connected to my joy, I'm more able to express God's love to my brother. When I'm connected to my joy, I'm more able to hear what the Holy Spirit is telling me, because when I'm consumed with fear in any way, I block God's guidance. Like he can't, the fear is like a cloud. And when I'm inundated in fear, I can't hear God's words. I believe that when I'm able to release the fear and be fully connected to my joy, be fully connected to my love, which is the true state of who I am, then I can hear God's guidance. So that's what my aim is, to be connected to my joyful state as often as possible. But part of that process, part of that cleansing process, in this earthly classroom, in terms of, I guess, how I see life, is that when those triggers come up, we need to just release them and allow them to dissolve, I guess. By accepting them, we can release them. Michael Singer writes, if you want to be free, you must first accept that there is pain in your heart. You have it stored there, and you've done everything you can think of to keep it there deep inside so that you never have to feel it. There is also tremendous joy, beauty, love, and peace within you, but they are on the other side of the pain. On the other side of the pain is ecstasy. On the other side is freedom. Your true greatness hides on the other side of that layer of pain. You must be willing to accept pain in order to pass through to the other side. Just accept that it is in there and that you are going to feel it. Except that if you will relax, it will have its moment before your awareness, and then it will pass. It always does. So I guess when I get triggered, just to step into the pain so I can release the pain and I can clear my channel and reconnect to God, is how my life seems to play itself out. Because I am as God created me. That's lesson 162. I was speaking about that when you were off for a few minutes because you lost the internet reception. And I think to just accept the fact that I'm innocent, to accept the fact that I have no guilt in me, to accept the fact that I have nothing to defend. It's such a beautiful state of mind to reside in. I start my day like this, but throughout the day, I do have a tendency to get triggered. So each time I get triggered, I guess just to accept the pain, but remind myself at the same time that I am as God created me, and my true state is one of innocence. Cindy, your hand is raised.
Hello.
Hi, Cindy.
Hi. So for me, when accepting the pain, I just want to, I don't want to go on too long, but I have to go, I have to really go, get quiet and go deep and let the Holy Spirit go there with me. It's like a visual, it's what a practice, but for me, just to like say that, I'm as God created me or whatever, does not work, because that's what I've been doing for years. I've just been really parroting, not all the time, but parroting the words. And so what I'm finding is some of the deep, dark, ugly, shameful thoughts and memories or whatever, that I have ran from, they're not that bad. When I get through to the other side, there really is a sense of release and calmness and peace. So I just wanted to throw that in to reiterate for myself. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Myrna?
Yeah, you know what? We can find peace. Just find a way to do it. You know, Cindy said, well, maybe the affirmations don't work, but yet she finds that she's able to feel peaceful. Okay. I think we all kind of have our different methods. I think you do it with meditation. I know that you're a big meditator and it does wonders for you. In fact, you said that you were out of it for a few days and you got back into it. It really felt good. Yeah, meditation is great. The way I do it is, well, the affirmations do work for me because it takes my mind off the problem, the emotion that I'm feeling that you call a trigger. I find that you know that there's always a path to healing. It's just that we have to find it and find what works for us. I may not be a meditator the way you are, or into meditation to the extent that you are, which I think is great. But I know that thoughts of God come to me very often during the day. I allow myself to stop, think of God, thank Jesus, whether I offering my appreciation, whether I'm sort of thanking God for the miracles that I've been given. I do have that heartfelt moment during the day, every day, and I think the more I do it, the more apt I am to create it over, at shorter intervals of time. And so that's, works for me. Whatever it takes to get you out of that place of fear, um, is a place to that we're being offered. It's a hand that's, it's reaching down and saying, okay, this is a lifeline. And only we know if it's working for us. I've come a long way. I think we all have who are into this Course in Miracles group, recognizing that I know for myself, the early days before the Course in Miracles, knowing that none of this existed or not knowing that any of it existed, I really was captive to fear constantly. One thing after another, I'd get insulted, I would be hurt, I would, it was never my fault. Of course, it was never my fault. We were victims. And when I picked up the Course in Miracles, seeing, in print that there are no victims. You're not a victim. I am not a victim of the world I see. So because I felt as a victim, words like that were very powerful for me. I am not a victim of the world I see. Well, that told me right then and there that I'm victimizing myself. And that's really what it is. We do it to ourselves, and that again is the ego. So Karen put something, I'm reading the chats a little bit here into the chat. Well, yeah, Lynn Johnson.
She wrote, yep. Yeah, she writes, Karen writes, all paths of healing, meditation, affirmations, all perfect. They all lead to God in the end.
Right.
I think that's a very profound statement. No one can tell you exactly what is on your path, but if you listen to your own inner guidance system, your inner guidance system will draw you to the right form of healing. Mm-hmm. And I think, I don't know, meditation is just so very powerful for me because it stills my mind. And I did wake up this morning feeling a little funky. I had some funkiness in my dreams. And then when I was in the midst of my meditation, I felt truly connected to my creator. And it was such a beautiful feeling. I did not want to disconnect from my creator because I could feel my oneness. I could feel the peace. And to just realize that that peace is always available to me, is it's such a relief. isn't it? That no matter where we are, we always have access to this infinite intelligence. You know, we can always tap into our divine guidance system. We are never alone. A Course in Miracles tells us that a lot of the fear that we experience happens because we feel separate. But the truth is, the ego feels separate, but our true self is never separate from God. His strength is available to us whenever we release the blocks. His guidance is available to us whenever we release our fear. And that's just a beautiful truth. On Saturday, my husband had a family reunion. His last name is Zuffalato. So the name of this reunion was the 3Z family reunion. There are three families, and I guess they all kind of got together. Zuffalato, and I think the other are like Zanoli and Zanetti. And it's just such a big group that gathers, and it's fun. I mean, it's just so beautiful because everybody is loving and warm and compassionate and kind, and everybody's kind of related to everybody else, you know. And then my husband put together a big family tree. So he went on ancestry.com, I think, and he did a lot of research about, you know, everybody's past. So it was very interesting to look at. But what I love about the reunion, you know, I'm not blood related to anybody, but I love the fact that everybody's so warm and loving and accepting, and you can go into any group, and even if you don't know them, they'll just, you know, they're very kind. And I got into a couple of really deep, profound conversations while I was at this reunion. And it's so interesting because when you judge someone on the outside, you know, of course, judgment is of the ego, but we all have a tendency to do that, right? I mean, and this has happened to me my whole life. You know, there was this one woman that I don't know if I don't think I judged her in a bad way. I mean, I don't know, had a little bit of a judgment surrounding her, let's put it that way. And then we get into, I went over and I joined her table in the middle of the reunion, and we have this conversation, and she just healed from breast cancer. So she went into remission. So she went through extensive chemotherapy, and she no longer has breast cancer. And she was a young lady, probably only at about, she's only 30 years old. And she went through a bout of breast cancer. And she's talking to me about, you know, what she learned from the breast cancer. I actually asked her if there was any part of her that was grateful for the experience, if there was any part of her that learned from the experience. And her answer to me was really profound. She says, you know, I have so much gratitude in my heart. And it's not the big things that I'm grateful for. It's the simple things. The simple things I'm so grateful for, like the sun rising in the morning and the flowers, you know, on the lawn, and my interactions with my family. I realize how important my family are to me. And I realize how important it is, she says to me, to monitor my thoughts. I don't want to surround myself with negative people. I want to make sure that my thoughts are guarded, you know. And I think in a way this comes down to, like you said, Myrna, affirmations, mental discipline, which Course in Miracles says we are much too tolerant of mind wandering. We need to do our best throughout the day to focus on the love, because the love is the truth. And her bout with cancer taught her this. And I think, you know, I mean, she went through the chemotherapy, and I'm sure there was medicine that she took, but she spoke about the fact that her mental focus was so important in terms of her healing. And I completely agree with that. You know, it's like we really need to be careful of what we're thinking of throughout the day, because what we're focusing on expands. And there's so much proof of this. And then I was talking to her aunt, and her aunt said that she did a gratitude list each and every morning. She wakes up and she writes down 3 things that she's grateful for. And I mean, really what that boils down to is to focus on the love is how we keep ourselves plugged into our God socket. And that's something that we always have control over. And another thing is when you take away the external of who anyone is, I mean, I always find that at our core, we have so much in common. I mean, whether the other person is a Course in Miracles student or not. I mean, sometimes I feel I have a little more in common with Course in Miracles students, sometimes because we study the same thing. But really doesn't matter, because deep down at everybody's core, I mean, the only thing that's real is the love. I mean, we all are so similar deep down. And I guess what I felt at the family reunion is I felt such a strong connection. And I think that's what we all crave when anybody lets their guard down and it can be authentic with another person. There's such a beautiful connection that we all have. And I've been feeling that more and more often lately. And I'm so grateful for that. I mean, maybe there's a part of me that's letting my own guard down. So I'm feeling more connected to people that I meet, along the journey of life. So that's a very beautiful thing.
That's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And to go to a reunion and meet somebody like that, who has apparently, breast cancer, and the fact that she was able to not focus on that, but focus on love. That's what it sounded like she was doing. When you express gratitude and you can do that, that's expressing love. It really is. You're feeling love. And if you're feeling love, how can anything harm you? So even under the most trying situations, if you can bring yourself to that place and just recognize it's only love, no matter what it seems to be that's, ailing you. So it goes to show you again, there is no order of difficulty in miracles. It's all the same, whether it's cancer or whether it's a hangnail. It is. It's just the mind that just has to have faith, whatever it may be, and then the healing takes place. Because if you have faith, then you also know that you feel that there's nothing to feel but love, and that is the cornerstone of everything. Doug was talking about a movie he saw called Still Alice with Julianne Moore. I saw that a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it sort of jogged my memory, because I had seen that movie about a woman who developed early Alzheimer's,
Mm-hmm.
and what she goes through, and it just, and what she did say, which I don't remember because it was a long time ago, but she did acknowledge that it's only love, okay, and that's what brought him into that discussion about that movie. It was a wonderful movie, it really was. It also reminds me of Pat, my boyfriend, actually. His wife had Alzheimer's for 16 years. She also had early Alzheimer's. And when he found out about it, because the funeral actually was just recently, he took care of her 13 years. The last 3 years she spent in a facility where she was really just catatonic for the most part. But when she did find, and she lived that way for 3 years, when she did pass away at the funeral, I really got to know Pat even better, because he really, there was a screen of all the places that he took her to, and literally took her around the world, because he wanted to fulfill her bucket list, so to speak. So he said, okay, let's put a bucket list together and let's live it out. And and it was just remarkable, really, to hear him explain it and talk about it and the places that they went to. She had early Alzheimer's, but they were able to sort of live a life of you know, of desire. They desired, she wanted to travel more, and that's what they did. He made sure that that's what they did. I thought that was extraordinary. I really do. Um, so it's, you know, again, it's all about love. He must have loved her a great deal in order to fulfill that for her. So that's what I took away from that. Beautiful. It's that's what it's all about. You know, I'm reading some of the affirmations. The only thing we ever need to heal is our mind. Oh, that's so true, Karen. Karen said, and that's it really is so. We just need to heal our mind, and then everything else follows. And if our mind is healed, then I think our body's healed. Even though our bodies, you know, I'm not a body, I am free, for I'm still as God created me. But we still are attached to our bodies. And I think that we are much kinder to our bodies when we allow our mind to heal, then our body also reacts, you know, in healthier ways, and healing and so forth. And every one of us has a remarkable story about healing. Dove told a story last week about when he had cancer, and he went through a lot, and yet he pulled out of it like a champ. Well, he is a champ. He's my champ anyway. And all of us really have, you know, been to hell and back, I guess you might say. I don't know.
It's true. I think we all
Right.
have been to hell and back, because
Right.
what is hell? Hell is when we block
Right.
heaven. Hell is when we
Right.
block love. Hell is when we're completely consumed with our ego. And we've
Yes.
all been there, you know? And then Cindy wrote, "It is in my willingness to share my vulnerability my courage is found." And I think that's a very profound quote as well. Thank you, Cindy. And Karen has her hand up. Karen?
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Hey, Karen.
Myrna, I just want to
I
touch
love
what
you, Karen. Go ahead.
did you just get your hair cut, Myrna?
I did actually, yeah.
So cute. I noticed I worked in a hair salon for almost 20 years.
Oh, wow.
I noticed that immediately. I noticed when people get their hair cut, it looks really cute.
Oh, thank you.
So when Myrna said, we've all been through hell, and she's right. That's what I love about this course. We all have so much in common. People that are in heaven do not need the course. It's the hell that we've been through. We've all been through different forms of hell, but it's all the same, different forms. But like you said, there's no hierarchy of illusions. There's no order of difficulty and miracles. We've all been through the same thing and we're all healing together. And I love it. And I just love that we all have so much in common and that we can share like this. So just thank you so much. You guys are so great together. You guys have like such a good chemistry together.
We go back a very long
Thank you,
time.
Do
Karen.
you? Oh yeah,
Yes.
it's awesome. I love it. And it's only
Yeah,
one. You only share this on Mondays together, right? Is it just Mondays together?
yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. It's
But
great.
Karen, I have to say, I love your sharing. I mean, that goes without saying. Your sharing is
Thank
beautiful.
you. Thank you.
Yes, and you get more and more adept at it. More and more. I listen to you. The higher you fly. I mean that. So.
Thank you.
And I think you're so right too, Karen.
Cheers.
It's like we've all been to hell, and when we can just realize that we all have that in common. It's not like I don't want other people, I want other people to suffer. I don't want that, but we're all so similar. And to realize that we're not the only one who is experiencing difficulty, we're not the only one who is experiencing challenges, you know, there's something that's very um therapeutic, I guess, in that, to realize that I'm never alone. That's something else I realized at the family reunion. I shared with this one woman who just got over breast cancer, and then I shared with another woman who is just amazing. I know her a little bit better, and I always thought that this other woman had like the perfect life because she has this great husband and great children and a great job, and she's amazing. I love her. But then when we start sharing, I mean, she has her own challenges. I mean, we all have something within us that we're in the process of overcoming, So I'm not that different than my brother. I'm not. And that is really just helps me. It's a very healing truth. Cindy, did you want to share?
Yeah. Oh, Susan, Michelle, the way you said that, I said that to myself. Oh, I'm not different. I'm not that different, and you get that light goes on and you realize it. Anyway, when I'm in my hell and um, it was because, and it comes and goes still, because I forget, but before I didn't know I had a choice. I didn't know, I really deep down did not think I had a choice, even though I studied the course or whatever. It wasn't until recently, really, really recently, that I am relieved to say that I have a choice now, and I can go to that choice and choose love and choose God and all the truth. I'm the only one keeping myself from making that choice. So again, it goes without saying, I'm doing it to myself. So thank you. I'm glad you guys brought that up.
Yeah, that's
Thank you,
good
Cindy.
that you pointed out, Susan, and Cindy sees it too, that, yeah, and I too, I'm not that different, am I? I'm not an outcast, you know. um, that, and, lesson 93 explains that very well. We think that we are the home of sin, darkness, whatever. Lesson, wait a minute, 93. I should really.
But it's just sin,
Yeah.
darkness, and despair. Is that what it said? We think we are the
Evil,
home of
dark,
sin,
evil,
darkness, evil,
yeah,
darkness, and despair.
evil, darkness, and sin.
Yes, yes.
Okay, but it's not true.
Yeah, right.
It's just not true. I mean, basically what we want to do is just shine the light on it. And then once we do bring the darkness to the light, we realize that it has no power over us. We realize that it's just not true. I mean, hell, I just looked it up in my little glossary of terms, but it's not a place that we go to after we die. It is a place that we experience now here on earth when we're completely disconnected from our love. I also like the fact that you brought up that movie. I guess Dove originally brought it up, Still
Mhm.
Alice,
Mhm.
with Julianne Moore and Alec Baldwin. I saw that. I thought it was a really great movie, and it had a lot of beautiful truths, as love being the most powerful force. She I guess relied on her. Julianne Moore, her character, was a really intellectual, intelligent doctor, right? Or
Yes, yes,
teacher.
she was. She was
And in a way, this is what gave her a sense of pride or worth. That's a better word. A sense of worth was her intelligence. And then for her to lose what she considered to be the most important thing about her, I mean, it is really difficult
yeah,
to lose something that we pride ourselves um, with. And I think she realized by the end of the movie that the love was the only thing that was real about her. The intelligence wasn't as important as she thought it was. The love was the only thing that really mattered in the end. um
yes,
so
at the very end. But during the movie, it's really sad because she wrote notes to herself about where to find the sleeping pills to take to end her life. But she waited too long. Okay. She forgot where they were, and that sort of thing. I do remember that about the movie. But it did have a good ending because I think she's okay at the end, even with the Alzheimer's. So yeah. It was a good movie to talk about, especially since I've just been through with Pat. So,
mhm.
yeah.
So time flies when you're having fun, right,
It
Myrna?
does. Yes.
I loved our time here in Pal Talk YouTube, like I always do. Our hour is up. It's 4 o'clock. And as the introduction of A Course in Miracles says, the only thing that's real is the love. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. And I'm just so grateful for that. I'm so grateful for A Course in Miracles. I'm so grateful for everyone here on How Talk YouTube, and I love you so much. Thank you, Myrna. Thank you. Thank
I'll
you.
drink to that. Thank you. Great. It was a great hour. Thank you.
Great hour. And I'll now return the microphone to Lynn. Thank you.
Thanks, you guys, so much. I so appreciate the both of you and all of everybody who joined in. It's awesome. And I love